Good afternoon. My name is Brian Sikorsky. I'm an independent financial planner and wealth advisor with Stratos Wealth Partners, and I help individuals and small business owners make good decisions, assessing their current insurance needs, including life, disability, long-term care, helping them with investment management services to help their money grow in line with their risk profile, and also making sure that any of their legacy assets, if you will, of investments or a business get passed on to their beneficiaries in the most cost-effective, tax minimized way as possible. I'm also really, if you want to call it, keen on education. So I do a webinar like this at least once every month. And this webinar, I will show you at the end of the presentation. It's going to be recorded. And when we're done, it will be uploaded to my YouTube channel, and I'll show you how to get to that at the end of the presentation. So I think all of us would agree that our world is transforming at an unprecedented pace. I mean, even the COVID-19 vaccine was formulated in months instead of decades. And this future that we're encroaching upon may arrive faster than many of us expect. You know, the challenges that lie before us have spurred innovation as a measure and a matter of necessity. So the world's going to continue to change rapidly, and as it does, new industries will emerge, living standards will continue to rise, and wealth will recover. So today we're going to discuss how innovation can drive change and continue to transform the world in the decade ahead to help us reach a brighter tomorrow. Now, I mentioned that I do this webinar or one like it every month. And I have to admit, when I was researching different topics to focus upon, this one that had the word brighter in it, for heaven's sakes, just jumped out at me. We've always heard, not always, we've heard for the last year so much doom and gloom. I thought it might be providential to provide some uplifting news for a change. So it goes without saying how difficult this time has been for all of us. On the other hand, the pandemic to help fight the disease, to keep essential goods and services flowing, and adapt our work and home lives to a new set of realities. Now, work standards have been abruptly changed as we work from home, some for the very first time using tools like video conferencing apps, just like this one, which is Zoom. Telemedicine has become a commonplace now for doctors to treat and diagnose patients under the social distancing guidelines. Need while sheltering in place, from groceries to cleaning supplies to a new pair of sweatpants. And online payment systems enable us to easily pay for the goods and services that we need. Now, COVID-19 has been analyzed at the genetic level to test the population and search for an effective vaccine. And at the same time, artificial intelligence, or AI, was being used to expedite this process. Now, the aftermath of the pandemic will also provide an opportunity to learn from a wide variety of social innovations and experiments, ranging from working from home and distance learning to whether or not we'll tolerate large-scale surveillance, even if it can help contain the spread of the virus. With this will come an understanding of which innovations, if adopted permanently, might provide substantial uplift to the economic and social welfare. As reopening begins to take place, businesses of all sorts are leveraging new technologies to help get the economy back open and people back to work, with the health and safety of employees, suppliers, and customers alike as a top priority. So here's a few examples of innovations playing a part in the reopening. The screening for high body temperatures has become a way of detecting if a person could possibly be suffering from symptoms of coronavirus. Using thermal imaging technology, employees can be screened upon entering the workplace to reduce the likelihood that they are entering the building and unknowingly spreading the virus. Obviously, clean surfaces are vital to prevent the transmission of any droplets that may contain the virus. While chemical cleaners are effective, the cleaning process itself may put workers at risk. So to eliminate possible human exposure, researchers at MIT developed a robotic system to disinfect surfaces using an ultraviolet C light that is also built into the base of the robot. Initial testing results have been significantly impressive to suggest this could be a useful solution for a wide range of work environments, ranging from factories to supermarkets and even airports. Now, three-dimensional printing capabilities are pivoting to manufacturing face masks, vaccine test kits, and personal protection devices. New technologies continue to emerge to help keep employees healthy, even self-sanitizing door handles. Today, we're going to discuss key trends and innovations that we believe will drive and continue to transform our world. So we're going to discuss the rapid pace of progress across the globe, how new markets can create abundant opportunities, how can we reimagine our daily lives, and as a piece of that, how to invest in the future today. So progress and innovation have been accelerating at a very rapid pace. Progress is fundamentally driven by the generation and expansion of ideas. The development of those ideas often depends on resources devoted to them. So one measure of this is research and development, or R&D spending. This chart shows R&D spending in 4 of the world's largest economies. The interior gray circle and the larger exterior blue circles represent R&D spending 7 years later in 2017. And as you can see, R&D spending has been rising steadily across all 4 economies over the past decades. The most notable rise coming from China. Since 2000, total global R&D expenditures have nearly tripled in current dollars from 7 development. So progress and innovation can be hard sometimes to measure, but one way to gauge this is by looking at patent activity. Globally, both patent applications and grants have risen dramatically. So with us living in a time of unprecedented change, we're looking at the last few decades. The most recent decade has seen the rapid expansion of innovation. And if you think of major innovations of past decades, like Wi-Fi in the 90s, or the introduction of social media in the 2000s, it's easy to see just how far things have progressed. Building on innovation, 2010s were a decade of new apps and devices, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and 4G networks. During the same time, US stocks were part of the longest bull market on record. Innovation isn't the only contributor to market performance. However, we believe there is no greater force for driving growth and creating value in the economy than innovation, even during recessions. Difficult times can open the door to significant. During the Great Financial Crisis, or GFC, for example, global payments firm Square was founded. Airbnb and Pinterest also came to be. Apple has weathered 2 previous recessions, one in the early 2000s following the dot-com bust, and then the GFC in 2007. What's more, both of these happened to coincide with the emergence of major new innovations from Apple, such as the first iPod and then the iPhone. And after the GFC, 2010 kicked off with a breakthrough in artificial intelligence, IBM's Watson. This could give innovation another opportunity to break through and surprise us all again. So gains in processing speeds, breakthroughs in drug therapy, and the proliferation of artificial intelligence and e-commerce across creating new markets and long-term opportunities. Now, innovation can create markets that previously didn't even exist. Now, let's take the smartphone, for example. When the original smartphone hit the shelves, nobody could have predicted the impact it would have. Last year alone, over 1 billion people downloaded more than 200 billion mobile apps. Smartphones have become the center of our digital lives, changing the way we interact with the world around us. Because of that, we're seeing new products, services, and businesses emerge. Now, for example, taxis were once the preferred method of transportation. So say if you needed a ride or to go to the airport. The advent of ride-sharing apps changed that. It upended one market and created another. And while the pandemic has negatively impacted ride-sharing, it's not likely to disappear. Food delivery in many places was once limited to pizza and Chinese takeout, but now, thanks to apps like DoorDash, Grubhub, and Postmates, customers can order their favorite dish with a tap of the smartphone screen, whether they live in the city or in the far-flung suburbs. When it comes to gaming, mobile apps became the preferred format in 2009. Revenue from mobile gaming was higher than that of PC and console combined. The smartphone is also the preferred device for podcast listeners compared to computers, tablets, and other devices. The podcast industry is expected to double in just 3 years, with smartphones driving the upward trajectory. During the past 5 years, the number of podcast listeners on 5 million in 2014 to 36.3 million in 2019. Now, new markets, visionary leaders, and innovative companies don't only come about when times are good. Quality companies can be found regardless of where we are in the market cycle. Here are a few examples of companies that have emerged over the years to become household names, all of which can be argued are leaders in their respective industries. Does anyone know what these companies all have in common? Well, each one of these companies were founded during the great financial crisis. These sparked Venmo and Square, for example, helped solidify mobile payments and peer-to-peer transactions in the financial services industry. Airbnb and Uber innovated their business models, giving rise to the sharing economy. And recognizing that companies like these are starting and innovating all the time, even through tough times, can help investors gain perspective. Now, innovation is more than just the latest technology or gadget. Advances in medicine, agriculture, communications, finance, energy, transportation, and education, they've all helped us more quickly. We're wealthier with an estimated 140 million people enter the middle class each year. In 2018, the global population reached its tipping point. Half of the world is now considered middle class or wealthier. This means they can now afford to purchase non-essential items such as cars, household appliances, or travel. And this is one of the biggest advancements in human history. A larger middle class with more money to spend on goods and services translates into increased consumer spending. In fact, consumer spending is expected to increase 203% by 2030. The new middle class is also spending more money on higher education. Higher education enrollments are projected to grow by roughly 200% through 2040. Health, wealth, and education are all interconnected, with continuous improvements to how we prevent, diagnose, and treat illnesses. Now, innovation sometimes comes through thought of as a antithetical to job creation, the concern being that the more we innovate and automate, the more jobs that are lost. Now, while some jobs may definitely be lost, may be inevitable, innovation sometimes can, in fact, create jobs. The vast majority of Americans today are no longer working on farms or railways or as telephone operators. As economies advance, so does the workforce. And over the next decade, the fastest growing occupations are expected to be knowledge-based jobs in the field of healthcare, technology, and renewable energy. Now let's talk about how innovation impacts our everyday life. Innovation touches almost everything we do, from the way we interact with friends and family, shop, pay for goods and services, treat illnesses, and also how we spend our leisure time. How we purchase and receive goods is changing commerce. Let's start with the way we shop for groceries. Over the last 25 years, there have been very few innovations in the grocery industry, the internet, or much innovation at all. Now, you might remember a time when you made a list, went to the grocery store with your kids in tow, and finally, when you get to the things you needed, you had to stand in line and wait for the cashier to scan them and bag all your items. Now, things are quickly changing, and the pandemic has accelerated this pace. If you don't feel like going to the store, you can order your groceries online, pick them up curbside, or even have them delivered to you, often in just a matter of hours. So what's next? Robotic shuttle pod or drone drops your items to your door. Kroger launched an unmanned grocery delivery pilot program in Scottsdale, Arizona. The autonomous vehicles are equipped with self-driving sensors and cameras, and they're able to carry up to 20 grocery bags. Walmart is also upping the ante. They have filed 97 new drone delivery patents with the World International and Intellectual Property Association just since July of 2018. The Federal Aviation Administration is planning to enact new standards for unmanned drones, which could be the first step towards eventual mainstream acceptance of deliveries via drones. I will tell you personally, I recently moved kind of into the country here, into the north of the city. Well, I'm in Hillsborough, North Carolina. But when I lived in the Morrisville, Cary area, I actually saw a drone from CVS Pharmacy deliver down my street. And you want to talk about something fascinating to watch, that was definitely it. Now, beyond grocery shopping over the last 10 years, online shopping has experienced slow and steady growth from a relatively small group of consumers who frequently shop online. As a result, as a percentage of total retail sales, it's estimated that the US e-commerce space only has 14% penetration and is much lower around the world. While some sectors have embraced online retail, other large markets are just getting started in the e-commerce space in categories like furniture, food and beverage, and autos. Fast forward to 2020, and we can see how COVID-19 has already reshaped purchasing habits, with increasingly more shopping happening online as consumers contact at brick and mortar stores. So e-commerce is more than just online marketplace giants like Amazon or China's Alibaba. Every time an online purchase is made, there's a vast infrastructure behind the scenes required to fulfill and deliver it. These include search engines, retailers, payment systems, logistic operators, all which play a vital role in the e-commerce ecosystem and will stand to benefit from the growth in online shopping. I know just a couple of weeks ago, I take some vitamin supplements and I ran out of one. And it was about 9 o'clock in the morning. So I placed the order online. Here about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a car pulls up and delivers the vitamins to my house. It was about maybe 6 hours later. Incredible. And it was just one dinky little bottle of vitamins. I can't believe they even wasted their time on it. The other thing that's kind of cool, I think, is I have to admit I've embraced online shopping, but as an example, whether you love or hate Amazon, you can buy something, and then if you want to return it, you can go online and return it. And in many cases, they will refund your money to your credit card before you've even before they've received the return item, and in some cases, even before you've delivered it to like UPS. You know, as opposed to having to wait. At times in my life, I can remember having to wait days and weeks for a refund over something. Now it's in the matter of hours, if not instantaneously. So innovation is also transforming the way we pay for goods and services. Think about what you used to make sure you had on hand if you needed to make a purchase. There was a time when you needed cash or your checkbook. Now more often it's a debit or credit card. If you use a mobile wallet, you can leave the cards at home and grab your smartphone instead. So what's next? What if a shop's point of sale system at the cashier uses biometric scanning to recognize your face, voice, or a thumbprint and proceeded to process payment to your authorized bank account or credit card? I remember when I was a little kid, the concept of layaway came out. You pay for 20 bucks a month, and in a year, whatever, that washing machine is all yours. I can remember going to Sears with my mom to make our layaway payment. Now, if an industry was due for a dose of innovation, payments was definitely it. This is a chart showing the advancement of payment systems over time. Throughout history, humans have relied on some sort of payment system to purchase the goods or services we needed. In the US, not much innovation has occurred in the payment space since credit and debit cards of the 50s and online payments like PayPal in 2002. But in the past decade, that's changed and we've seen innovation pick up speed. If there has been one consistent theme regarding the evolution of payments, it's that we tend to prefer payments that are convenient and transactional. Globally, more payments have become more commonplace, with worldwide mobile payment transaction volumes expected to hit $1 trillion this year. And this number is more than triple what it was just 4 years ago in 2016. Now consider Apple Pay. In just 1 year, Apple Pay tripled their number of users. And this is incredibly rapid adoption considering the first iteration of modern mobile payments only came into existence 5 or 6 years ago. The ability to move money digitally and instantly and created new markets that have never existed before. Bitcoin, holy cow, that's a whole nother 10-hour discussion, if not more. So payment preferences vary by country. America spent the last decade upgrading card infrastructure, transitioning bank-based magnetic card strips to chips. These cards continue to grow, providing the backbone for e-commerce and new methods of digital payments. Devices can now turn smartphones into credit card processors like Square, and transactions can be securely transacted online like PayPal. However, the underlying payment network in America remain a bank-based system, something that is completely the opposite of Bitcoin. Meanwhile, China has leapfrogged the card-based system and relies primarily on digital wallets or QR codes that run through their own big tech firms like Alipay, Alibaba, and WeChat Pay, Tencent. These new systems have exploded over the decade with over 1 billion users on each platform. The new platform system has replaced cards and cash at registers, how families give gifts, and even how beggars ask for money, with QR codes replacing tin cups. Mobile payments in China have reached over $41 trillion annually. There are even some African countries like Kenya where mobile payment transactions are responsible for over almost half of their gross domestic product. The global payment landscape looks far different than it did even 5 years ago and will likely undergo more rapid changes in the decade ahead. So think about how we prevent and treat illness. Let's take a physical exam for example. Then it would typically require a trip to the doctor's office, a paper gown, a series of tests with the results filed away into a manila folder of your larger medical record. Now, more often, doctors and patients are connecting digitally. Many of the basic vital tests typically take our wearable devices. Online portals give patients access to contact healthcare providers, schedule appointments, and view their test results. Doctors are increasingly offering telehealth appointments, treating patients via video conference. So much can be taken care of without even stepping foot inside the doctor's office, and maybe thereby keeping yourself distance from COVID. It isn't just the doctor's office that's benefiting from innovation. From hospitals to medicine, medical devices, and more, the whole field of healthcare is transforming. This innovation is not only about new technology, innovation in health system organization, for example, how doctors are consulted, how monitoring is done, how diagnoses are established and shared, and how prevention takes place. These are all improving. So let's look at a few examples of how innovation is transforming healthcare, both from the patient's perspective as well as the doctor's. For patients, artificial intelligence is being trained to identify skin cancer using thousands of images of malignant melanomas to more accurately detect cancer and aid the paralyzed. 3D printing is revolutionizing organ transplants and tissue repair, and it's even able to produce realistic skin for burn victims. Targeted and personalized medicine using nanotechnology uses a patient's own cells to better treat disease. Connected and connective and cognitive devices can gather, store, and transit real ingestible or other implant treatment. So perhaps one of the greatest advancements in medicine is in the field of genomics, the study of genes. Over the past 2 decades, the cost of gene sequencing or mapping DNA for diagnostic and curative purposes has fallen rapidly from $100 million per genome in 2001 to only $1,000 today. So in review, if we think about, all of the work in the field of genetics has made it possible to predict, diagnose, and treat disease more precisely and personally than ever before. New insights into the genetic causes of diseases are making it possible to develop work with far better outcomes. While many medications have been designed to treat symptoms of diseases, new drugs target the genetic drivers. It's like the COVID vaccines using messenger RNA. Instead of treating a disease with a one-size-fits-all approach, new, more personalized therapies are used that are often more effective and have fewer side effects. These advances are helping to fight diseases such as cystic fibrosis, hepatitis C, and cancer. So today we've discussed key trends and innovations that we believe will lead to a more prosperous tomorrow. We covered how the pace of progress is speeding up across the globe, how new markets can create new opportunities, how innovation improves our daily lives. And I'm going to close this with one item here. I was looking at this presentation. It was provided to me by Franklin Templeton, which is a mutual fund company. And I got this presentation and I reviewed it. And while I was there, I was kind of looking at their website. And one of the things that I noticed was, and this might be interesting, is I noticed that they have, this is just kind of interesting. This is a mutual fund offered by Franklin Templeton, and it's called the Franklin Dynatech Fund. And it says that its objective is to seek capital appreciation by investing in companies which management believes, here you go, are leaders in innovation, take advantage of new technologies, have superior management, and benefit from new industry conditions in the dynamically changing global economy. Boy, does that sound familiar, right? And what I also found interesting is down here at the bottom, it tells us the top 10 holdings. Well, we covered some of these: Amazon, Microsoft, Shopify, ServiceNow, Inc., Facebook, Mercado Libre, well, I don't know how to pronounce that, I admit it, C Limited, PayPal Holdings, Adyen, and Alphabet, right up the alley of what we saw in this presentation. And it would lead me to believe that this is going to continue, because if we look at the performance of this fund over the last, let's say, 5 years, it's averaged an increase each year of 25%. Over in the last 3 years, 30%. In the last 1 year, 58%. So this was as of the end of December. So you think about it, last year, this fund alone was up 58% from January to December. That's pretty incredible. So the other thing I wanted to show you here is, in case you missed any part of this, absolutely fantastic, well-presented presentation on my behalf. You can go to my website here, and it's BryantSikorsky.com, so very innovative. But if you go there and you click on my YouTube channel, that's that little red dot there. See where it says, can't read it, but it says YouTube, trust me. And if you click there, it will hopefully, being in the woods, my internet is nowhere near what it was back in Cary, trust me. Although I did sign up for Starlink, Elon Musk's satellite system. So this is my YouTube channel, and you can see these are all the different videos that I've done in the past. And probably about, I'd say, in the next day or two, this one's going to move over, and the one that I just presented will jump in here. So just jump to my website, BryantSikorsky.com. If you missed anything, you can pick it up here on my YouTube channel. When you take a look at it, click on the subscribe button, and then over here it'll add my series of webinars into this page for you, to this column for you, and click on that, then it will notify you anytime I create a new video. So with that, I'll say thank you very much for joining me. It was a pleasure to have all of you. I will be happy to hear back from you if you want to give me a call or send me an email. Again, like I said, my website is easy to get to. It's bryantSikorsky.com, and on there it has my phone number, my email address, and my access to my YouTube channel. So again, thanks so much. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to contact me at your convenience. If nothing else, maybe I can take a look at how you're invested today and see if you're invested according to this presentation. Thanks.